In the fall of 2002, Alex Grant, a 27-year-old avid hiker, decided to embark on a solo backpacking trip through the Pine Barrens of New Jersey, a vast, dense forest known for its eerie beauty and local legends. Alex wasn't one to believe in ghost stories, but tales of the Jersey Devil and strange disappearances in the Barrens had always intrigued him. He thought a solo trip would be a way to prove to himself and his skeptical friends that the woods were just woods. The first day went smoothly. The air was crisp and the leaves had turned shades of gold and crimson. Alex followed a well-worn trail, setting up camp near a small clearing surrounded by towering pines. That night, as he lay in his tent, the forest felt alive with sound, chirping crickets, rustling leaves, and the occasional distant howl. Comforted by the normalcy, he drifted off to sleep. But on the second day, things began to feel off. While hiking deeper into the forest, Alex noticed the woods growing unnervingly quiet. The birds stopped singing, and the wind, which had been constant, seemed to vanish. He felt an odd pressure in his chest, like he was being watched. Still, he pressed on, dismissing his unease as paranoia. That evening, as he set up his second campsite, Alex found something strange. A perfectly arranged circle of stones in the clearing. At its center was a pile of charred sticks and bones, small enough to belong to an animal or perhaps something else. The arrangement seemed deliberate, almost ritualistic. Unsettled, Alex decided to set up his tent further away, closer to the tree line. As darkness fell, he tried to shake the feeling that he was being observed. The night was unnervingly silent, save for the occasional crack of a branch in the distance. Around midnight, Alex woke with a start. He didn't know why at first, but then he heard it. Faint whispers coming from somewhere beyond his tent. They weren't in English or any language he could recognize, just low, murmuring voices, as though a group of people were having a conversation just out of earshot. He froze. His breath caught in his chest. Slowly, he unzipped the tent flap and peered into the darkness. The clearing was empty, bathed in pale moonlight, yet the whispers continued, growing louder, closer. Suddenly, they stopped. The silence was deafening. Then, from the direction of the stone circle, Alex saw movement. A figure, tall and gaunt, stepping into the clearing. It wore no clothes, its skin pale and stretched tight over its frame. Its eyes glinted in the moonlight, black and unblinking. Paralyzed with fear, Alex watched as the figure bent down and touched the circle of stones. It turned its head slowly, as though sensing his presence, and began to walk toward his tent. Alex didn't wait to see what it wanted. He grabbed his backpack, left the tent behind, and ran. He didn't stop running, even when branches tore at his face and arms, even when his lungs burned. After what felt like hours, he stumbled onto an old fire road and followed it until he reached a ranger station. He banged on the door until a ranger answered. Alex tried to explain what had happened, but his words came out jumbled, incoherent. The ranger, seeing his terror, called for help. A search party was sent to retrieve Alex's abandoned campsite. They found his tent ripped open from the inside and his belongings scattered. But the circle of stones and the figure he described were nowhere to be found. Alex never returned to the woods. Years later, he learned that the Pine Barrens had a history of strange disappearances and unexplained phenomena. Locals spoke of the Watcher, an ancient presence that roamed the forest, drawn to those who ventured too deep. Some said it was a guardian. Others claimed it was a curse. To this day, Alex doesn't know what he saw. But sometimes, late at night, he hears faint whispers when he closes his eyes, an echo of the forest that refuses to let him forget.